you start fantasizing about the future. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden the deal falls apart. Oh, I really feel like I'm close to getting the job, you know? And let me tidy up myself.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Leadership Lab. I'm Henry Kirk,
I'm Jonathan Aronson.
and today we're going to talk about expectations and accountability. But before we go, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Even if you have no idea who we are and this is the first time you're watching, just hit it anyway because I guarantee the content is going to be valuable to you. And if it's not, don't unsubscribe or do anything drastic like that. Just please leave a comment in it below, and we will make sure that we improve as we go along. So, getting to today's topic, I was just telling Jonathan before how my son is starting to take after some of my entrepreneurial, like influences on him, and so he decided not to get a job this summer, and he wanted to start his own business. So I had that like expectations conversation with him, but when I was telling Jonathan about it, he's like, "You missed part of it." And to be honest, like holding myself and others accountable and setting clear expectations is something that I do struggle with at times. So I thought it would be a great topic to dive into because I'm sure that I can't be the only one that struggle with this. So, where do you want to go with this, Jonathan?
Well, just want to point out, and I want to hear more about your son and your story, because we're all interested in Henry's life, and more interesting in mine for sure. But what I want to point out is this is really common in the business environment. Leaders go out there and they wonder why they're not getting what they were looking to get. And workers are saying, why is he not happy with what I'm giving him or what I'm doing? And it really comes back to at the beginning when you do your goal setting, which is a really important part. And we've had, I think, some podcasts on developing SMART goals, but um, setting clear expectations on and checking for understanding, not assuming. And then from that, you would also have timelines. What are the actions you're going to take along with the timelines? But it all falls apart if you don't have accountability. And from my experiences, people are uncomfortable with holding, it's one or the other. Either they're uncomfortable with holding people accountable, or they're like making people feel bad. Like, what do you mean they didn't do that? You said you were going to do that,
I see.
well, your job's in jeopardy now. I mean, it can get, I heard yesterday some client said to me, her boss was like somebody who said, you know, they promoted her, they demoted her, and they said to her, and when she said, well, what do I need to know? And it was like, well, just make people happy. And she goes, well, like how? And the leader goes, well, I'm not going to tell you how to do that.
Hmm.
It was like, and if it doesn't work out, we'll find somebody who does, who will. And it was like, oh my God. But if at the beginning they had a alignment discussion, that's what this is really about, gaining alignment, where you're both on the same page, you're both in agreement, um, and there is, what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and if it doesn't happen, what happens. So it does happen. A lot of happens there,
Hmm.
right? That falls apart, and people are like, "What happened?" Hey, that was cool. Like
Hmm.
so. So I just want to share that with the listeners because really common in the workplace and so important to to um, to create that expectation, actions, accountability.
Okay. So I think I'd assume that everyone is human, and so even if you have super clear expectations and alignment, something's going to go wrong, and you're going to end up as the leader having to hold someone accountable, or even hold yourself accountable,
Doesn't have
right?
to go wrong. It can. The more you do this, the less it may go wrong,
So,
right?
so when you say the more you do this, are you suggesting
The
that you
mo-
align every week on the expectations to
I
change
think
them?
whatever there are and whatever's going on. I mean, I'm a big, and we should have a podcast sometimes on one-on-ones, because that's another thing that leaders don't do. But certainly, yes, I mean, stay on top of it, right? I mean, the world is dynamic, business is dynamic, things happen, competing priorities, all this comes into play. So, yes, make sure on a consistent basis that you're in alignment. And it's not just the boss's responsibility. It's also the worker's responsibility. But all of a sudden, with the Slack and it's so easy for people to say, well, I needed to do this or do that, or they throw meetings on calendars. And it's really kind of, in some ways, disrespectful because, they're saying, well, I need you, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. And there's like no conversation. There's no about, what you may have going on that I'm just tripping over you. I know people miss lunches because they block out time for lunch. Somebody schedules during the lunchtime goes, yeah, but this was the only time, and I know you're having your lunch, so
Oh,
you
people do that to me all the time
you
at
you
Google.
can eat while we're talking or something. It's like so
Yeah,
inconsiderate, okay,
yeah,
and not good for productivity either. That's another conversation we could have. But I'm curious to know about your son. So
yeah.
let's talk about this situation. Take us back to the beginning and kind of, I want to hear how the conversation went and why you're bringing it up now because of
Okay.
what happened that you're
Oh,
bringing it
okay.
up now.
Great.
Okay.
All right, cool. So I think he's a listener of the podcast. So I know we at least have one viewer. Basically, like at the beginning of the summer, my wife had went to him and said, "I want you to get a job." And there was a conversation. He said that he wanted to start his own business of some sort. And so for the probably the first couple weeks or so, he was trying different things out to see what type of business he wanted to start. And me being like, I believe that learning sales and trying to start your own business is a good skill to have. So I was very supportive of that. My wife wanted him to kind of like work at like a local place to try to, you know, gain some experience that way. But I'm like, all right, let's do the business thing. And so he finally settled on an idea after trying something, and he was working through it. But the observations that I saw was that or again, like this is my viewing the outside and like we didn't have the right discussion early on. So then that's when I stepped in with some expectation setting. Is like my wife said that she didn't think he was working diligently enough at it. He was really serious about it. And that was her perception. My perception was that, like, I don't know. I had to like talk to both of them and figure out what's going on. I said, "Oh, well, I'm just going to go and set the expectation of what we expected of him to do if he's going to pursue this business. Because you can't just say, I'm going to go start a business and then work on it one day a week. Like, you've got to put some sort of effort into it, and I'm trying to teach him some valuable lessons in doing that. And so I had a conversation and I said, like, hey, look, like, you know, uh, you're if you're going to do the business thing, I think it's great and awesome because like I never had a real job except working at my dad's store as a kid, and so I always had side businesses and stuff I was playing with. So it's great. I'll help you out with it. I'll be like an investor and help you get going and things like that. But the expectation is that you do at least one thing a day to try to improve the business or take the next step on there. And we chat a little about it. And he says, okay, cool. I'll do that. And then that was it. And then I haven't, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably missed a bunch of steps, but that's kind of where we're
Oh
at. And
gosh,
now,
yes, you did.
yeah, it's funny. Like, uh, I was telling her just a little side thing. I was telling my wife, that, um, leadership is like working on leadership and management skills over the last decade in my career has improved my relationships with others so much, like a ridiculous amount, to the point where sometimes my wife tells me, she's like, are you managing me, or are you like chatting me like that?" And I'm like, "No,
My
I'm
wife
not."
goes, "Are
I was
you
like,
coaching me?"
"Yeah,
Stop
exactly."
it.
I'm like, it's not that. It's just that I understand like the communication aspect or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's just really funny. So, when it happened just the other day. But getting back to the situation is like I definitely missed a few steps with my son, and now I need to follow up to make sure that he's actually doing the things that he had. But I never really outlined the things that he should be doing.
Yeah.
So
Okay. You want to have some fun here, Henry?
go for it.
You can be, how old's your son?
16.
You can be my 16-year-old, and I'm going to be your dad. And let's have a conversation.
Oh
All
boy.
right.
All
And
right.
just gotta, and you can be the best 16-year-old you could be.
Okay.
Interesting enough, when I was about 15, I had my own really first business. I mean, when I was a kid, I sold mechanical pencils or something that my
Oh,
dad
cool.
gave me. Well, when I was 15, I sealed driveways in the neighborhood. I went around with how you blacktopped it,
Yeah.
and I got a partner, Louis Concatilli, and my mom's cousin owned a hardware store, so we got all the materials and the blacktop. We had a minimum we had to buy, and my mom used to chauffeur us around in her car in her Oldsmobile to different job sites,
Yeah.
and we'd be out there sealing driveways at 15 years old, and people loved it. And we had a whole, I had my dad helped me put together um, uh, like a quote sheet, a quote book, which I still
Yep.
have,
Oh, really? Wow.
and yeah, there was some learning lessons about, along the way on that. But yeah, we were making $15 an hour back in the 70s,
That's a lot of money, wasn't it?
sealing driveways, so we're doing pretty good,
Yeah.
so I kind of relate to this. So, but, you know, I don't remember if we went through this process, but um, I would like to have the conversation, but I'm going to do it in such a way that it's going to relate to people who are leaders in companies,
Sure. Yeah.
and kind of following this. Okay, so are you willing to have some fun with this?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, all right. So let's just say you come to me and you say, "Hey, Dad, I don't want to go work for somebody. I'd like to do your own business." All
Okay.
right, and we'll start
Okay.
it up there.
All right,
All
great.
right, and let's say you already have an idea of what you want to do.
Okay,
Okay,
cool. All
all
right.
right. So that's great, Henry. What do you want to do then?
I want to, well, I've finally found the business that I want to do. So I want to do a mobile car detailing service.
Okay. So what actually do you know about detailing cars?
Well, I've watched you detailing your car a lot, and I did some research, and I think that it's like a high profit industry. And so I think I would be good at it.
Okay, sounds great. Well, I'd love to be an investor in your business and help you with getting the supplies that you need. And we'll talk about the return on my investment later. But let's get you up running.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing I want to start with is, how long do you want to run this business for?
Um, Full time through the rest of the summer, and then when the school year starts, like when I can.
Okay. And what do you mean by full time?
Um, well, as much as I can do for through the end of August at
Okay.
Labor Day.
Well, how many cars do you think you could do a day if you were doing full time?
Um, Probably one a day at the most,
Okay.
because it takes
Okay.
several hours to do. Yeah.
All right. So you'd like to do one a day. And how
Yes.
many days a week do you want to work?
Um, 5, 7, 6.
You want to
I don't
work
know. I haven't
every
really thought
single
about
day
that.
of the work of the week?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I don't have any customers yet, so I don't know.
I understand.
Yeah,
But here's the thing,
yeah.
Henry. We want to get clear on what your objectives are. So you know what you're working towards. And you
Okay.
know if you're getting your objectives or not getting your objectives.
Mm,
So the first is how much business you want to do.
mm.
So
Okay.
one, you want to detail guards. That's inside and
Right.
outside
Well,
wash, right?
yeah, wash, detail, polish as an
Okay.
upcharge.
So and
Yeah,
there's going to be upcharges. Okay, great.
yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
So again, let's figure out what's the minimum, what's the say minimum you're going to work. So one car a day. You want to work Monday through Friday and have your
Yeah, let's do
weekends
Monday through
off?
Friday. Let's do Monday through Friday.
Okay, so you want
Yeah.
to do Monday through Friday. Okay. And have you priced it out, like knowing how much you could get on the average for a car?
Yes. Um I figured I can charge like $300 and then have a few upcharges and then I can negotiate if needed.
Okay, so $300 times five
Hmm.
is how much a week then?
That's $1,500.
$1,500 a week. And you're going to work 4 weeks a month?
Well, through Labor Day at least. Yeah, till
Okay,
school
okay.
starts.
So I'd like you to add all that up,
Hmm.
all right, and come up with a number, and we're going to write what's called a goals statement. All right. And we're going to make it so it's specific, which is the detailing and the timing. Right. And it's relevant because you need a summer job, you need some cash.
Hmm.
Right. Um, and is it, and it's attainable? Can you do this? Do you know if this is something you can actually do and get enough people to do $300 a day?
I don't know, but um, if I did, if I compared this to just working at like a
Uh
local
huh.
like ice cream or pizza shop, I would my minimum if I did one car a week, I'd probably earn the same money.
Okay. All right.
So I figure
And
that there's a bigger earning potential. Do I need
that's
the 1,500 a week? No, it would be great, but I think it also like I see this as more of just like an opportunity to kind of just like
okay.
own what I want to do. So let's say that
Great.
I have 4 weeks left in the summer. So it's like six
Yeah.
thousand dollars that I could potentially make.
Okay. So maybe your goal is to make $6,000 for the summer.
Sure. Hmm.
All right. So if you miss a day and you don't have enough cars, you're still on track for that 6,000.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll say 6,000. So what I really want to understand from you, Henry, is why you want to do this. Well, what's really driving you here of doing this business for yourself?
Um, well, I don't know. I see you doing your own business and working on your own and how, you have much more time to be around us and stuff because control your own hours. So I kind of like that.
Okay. That
I don't want
sounds
to work
like
for the man. I don't want to work for the man.
okay, great. So what we just did there, Henry, is we just developed what's called a SMART goal. We
Hmm.
made it specific, we made it trackable, right? We talked about the relevancy, is it attainable? And we talked about your why, which is the relevancy. So that's the first part. Good job.
Hmm.
Okay.
Great. Thanks.
So, all right. So now let's talk about the expectations I have as your parent
Hmm.
and you have for me as your parent and for
Okay.
yourself. Okay.
Okay.
So, my expectation is that you're going to make this your job. All right. Meaning you're going to work on getting customers first, right? That's the first
Hmm.
step you got to get.
Hmm.
And I want to know how many hours a day you're going to commit to trying to find customers. And I'll help you figure out a way to get the customers, which is the tasks involved. But
Okay.
first, I want to get alignment with you on the expectations that you're going to work every day like a business. So if you're not actually detailing cars, I want to know you're trying to get the next car to detail.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
So how many hours a day are you going to spend on first getting customers?
Well, I have no idea. How much time do you think I should spend?
Well, I would say 2 hours a day if you don't have any customers. Well, how's
Okay.
that sound?
That seems reasonable. Yeah.
Okay, that's not playing video games. That's not, taking the dog out, playing with the dog or anything. That's literally drumming up business for your detailing company. And we'll talk
Okay.
about how to do that. Okay,
Okay.
so two
Okay.
hours minimum, not
Minimum.
2 hours only.
Okay.
Okay,
Minimum.
that's
Got it.
my expectation. You
Got it.
might want to do 3 hours one day, but at least 2 hours if you have
Got it.
nothing going on. Is that something you're willing to commit to?
Yes.
Okay. How so when are you going to start this business then? When are you going to start actually going to drum up business and start detailing cars?
How about I do it starting today?
Starting today. Okay,
Yep.
let's start tomorrow. Let's figure out what we're doing first and then
Okay, fine.
tomorrow you
Tomorrow
start up.
works.
Okay? All right, so that's the actions with the timeline.
Okay.
So let's say you're not doing this, Henry, for whatever reason.
Hmm.
How would you like me to hold you accountable to make sure that you are doing it because you're committing to this, right?
Well, wouldn't you normally just yell at me?
No, I don't want to yell at you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I
Um,
want to, but I do want to hold you accountable, meaning I want to be your partner. Plus, I'm an investor. So I want to see a return on the money that I am putting into this business. So,
that's
but
fair.
I'm asking you how you would like me to hold you accountable.
Uh, yeah, I don't, I'm not really sure.
Okay, what about this? If me or your mom sees that you're
Hmm.
not putting in the 2 hours, actually, what I'd like you to do, even better, I'd like you to create on a piece of paper showing us how many hours you're putting in a day and what you're doing.
Oh, that's a good idea. I like that. I
Okay?
could do
Would
that.
you do that? And
Yeah,
you
I
have
could
to
do that.
show that to us on a daily basis. So you can show us what you're actually working on. And we're
Yeah.
here to help. So if you're
Yeah, and you can
struggling
give
with
me
it,
feedback. Yeah, that's a good
this is
idea.
not about making you feel bad if you're not doing it. As long as you're trying and you're putting your best effort, we have no problems, your brother and I. But if
Okay.
you're watching video games and you're just hanging out with your friends and you're not putting in the minimum of 2 hours a day, then we're going to bring it up and we're going to talk to you about what's going on. And if it continues, then we're going to suggest that you don't do your own business because you're not being disciplined to it and
Hmm.
that maybe you should look for a job somewhere. How's
Yeah, I
that
don't want
sound?
that to happen. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. So yeah, I
How's
can
that
do
sound?
that. That's great. I like
Okay.
that.
So I'm gonna hold me and your mom gonna hold you accountable to this, and you're gonna hold us accountable that if you're struggling, you're gonna come to us and let us know you're just having a hard time doing this, either drumming up business or doing the detailing. Any part of this business, you can always come to us. We're here to help. How's that sound?
Okay. Okay. Now, how do I just approach you with that and just say, hey,
Yeah,
I'm struggling?
come and
Oh,
talk
okay.
to us. Say, hey, Dad, I'm not getting any business. I'm not motivated. I don't know. Is this right for me? Or whatever it is, we are here to help you. And we want to
Okay.
help you. We love you
Okay.
and your parents. And
Okay.
that's our job is
That's
to help
good.
you.
Thank you.
And as an investor, I want you to be successful so I can get a return on what I invested. And that's for you
That's
to be
true.
successful more than anything.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair.
Okay. All right. So what I want you now, Henry, is tell me what you got out of this conversation. I want you to tell me what you learned and what you're going to do and when moving forward.
Well, I think I learned creating like a plan of action will be helpful. And then I think since I've never really done this before, a daily check-in, so to speak, with what I've been doing will be helpful. Um, and that way we can make the time to kind of review it every day, and
Hmm.
that'll help me take it more seriously. And then I also learned that like I should set some sort of expectation of success and not just say it would be cool if I made a couple $100 instead of like, well, it would be awesome if I hit this goal. So
All
yeah,
right. Right. And you're gonna start tomorrow, right? You
yes,
said,
yep, bright and
and
early
you're gonna.
at 11:30 in the morning.
All right. Well, we'll sit down. We'll sit down. We'll talk about how to get business. Okay, you and I will talk
Okay,
about that. We'll do so how about doing some check-ins on a day like what you're
yeah,
doing? Remember with the sheet, you're
yep,
gonna you're gonna write it down. We'll do the check-ins And if it's a problem, either way, we'll let you know. If you're not doing the work, we'll let you know. And if you're struggling, it gives you an opportunity to let us know. Got it?
Great.
All
Got
right.
it.
So how are you feeling about this, Henry?
This is good. I'm pumped. Yeah, let's
All
do it.
right. So, oh, you're pumped. So, if I said from a scale of 1 to 10, one being not motivated at all and 10 being very motivated, where would you put yourself right now, Henry?
Um, at least like a nine. Can
Oh,
you
that's pretty
tell? I'm
good.
like, I'm pumped.
What would make it a 10, Henry?
If I actually like got
Get your
some
customer?
clients.
All right. Well, let's make it happen.
All
Okay?
right, cool.
All right.
Great.
Cool.
Love it.
All right. All right. So, let's get out of the role play.
Oh, okay, we're
Um,
done. Yeah, great.
yeah, we're done. So, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I
What
think
did you
th
notice that I did that maybe you didn't notice? And is this a realistic conversation you could have with your son?
I actually think it could be. I mean, a realistic conversation I can have with anyone. I think the part where I think it gets funky at times is the action plan and then the check-ins. But I think the way you approached it made a lot of sense, where it's like, well, how about you just kind of track what you're doing? But because like I had told my son, hey, if you need any help, just let me know. But I think the way that you're doing it is a more structured way where it's like, you're going to take these actions and every day we'll review and see if it's working or not and how we can help. That helps keep him accountable. It helps me help him. So it could be like, anyway, it's like if having a conversation with an engineer and I'm like, hey, work on this and I'll help you out. But if I don't have these check-ins to just make sure that that person is progressing as what we agreed on,
Hmm.
because I think a lot of people aren't always comfortable like saying, "Hey, I'm struggling," but then I think they also, yeah, and then I think then you can also realign the expectation if it's not working well. It's like if the goal
Right.
was too severe, especially if someone's struggling. So then now I get what you meant by that. Um, like if you have an opportunity to realign before it gets out of hand. So
Yeah, you're
yeah,
there with them as they're going. No surprises.
yeah,
I mean, how do you like as a leader when one of your engineer gives you this big surprise going, "Hey, boss, I haven't really told you this, but there's no way we're going to make the deadline."
yeah, and that's a conversation that happens all the time, and then you end up like putting more resourcing on it or doing whatever you need to take, and
Oh,
sometimes
especially
and
when
then
another department is waiting for your work.
yeah, yeah,
Ugh.
yeah, and then but what I see could have happened is potentially if it's early on, you figure it out. You can go to that other party and say, hey, we need a little bit more time. Actually, we're doing this now with a client that we have with the new businesses.
Mhm.
We thought it would take like 8 weeks, but the first week we did it. We got a little out of alignment the first week, and so we just extended it by a week, and we got everything done that we needed to.
Mhm.
And we communicated it, and it was fine, but we communicated it pretty early within like the first few weeks in, we're like, hey, we're off schedule. We recognize this. We're going to need an extra week. And they were cool with it
Yeah.
because they also had to then align marketing. So,
Right.
but then once we rescheduled it, there was no moving it again because that would just lose trust. So,
Well, right. I
yeah,
mean, unless some circumstance that nobody could see coming happened, right?
yeah,
So,
exactly.
but I just want to reiterate, I followed steps here, Henry. Okay,
Hmm.
the first steps was I talked to you and created goal together, right? It
Hmm.
wasn't just me creating; it was together. So, and we used a smart formula, which was a natural conversation. It wasn't like I kind of told you what I
Oh, yeah,
did
that's true.
afterwards,
It was
right?
the timely, achievable,
Yeah,
time
I
bound.
went through
Yeah.
all those points,
Oh,
right?
yeah, you did. Sneaky. All right.
And I would say I would write down the goal. Actually, that's one thing I didn't say. Write it so you had it, and it was 6,000. So now he knows what he's going for,
Hmm.
right, for the summer. And and then what we did is we had an expectation conversation, and that created actions. So you were actually giving him some direction and coaching, okay, or I was. And then from there, we created some timelines, right? And then we had a conversation around accountability and set up one-on-ones.
Hmm.
These are all things, that you do, that really effective leaders will do in a team environment to make sure that the people on the team are successful at what they're doing, have the best chance. And then of course I threw in, I want to return on my investment, whether it's money or whether it's seeing him be successful in his business. Is still a return on investment, but you're teaching your son, how this all works in business,
Hmm. That's
because
true.
this is not just a corporate thing. This is a business thing, right?
That's right.
And you can have fun doing it together, and it's a learning experience. And he's got his goal, and if he doesn't reach his goal or he's struggling, either realign what the goal is, or the kid's got to go get a job.
Hmm. So I suppose in your personal story that your mom driving you around meant that she supported you and your friend doing
Yeah,
this.
my dad helped me. If I knew we were going to talk about this, I would have brought it. But my dad helped me put together the whole quote sheet,
Uh,
and my mom drove us around in her car, and dropped us off with the cans of tar. We would be out there sealing the driveways. Well, we didn't realize, I remember at the time, older driveways soak up a lot more of the tar, and
uh,
we didn't account for that. So we might have quoted $100 or $150, and then we used. It took us twice as long and twice as many materials.
oh, I
But
see.
fortunately, most of the people that we were doing it for knew us and were happy to help and support us, and knew it'd cost them a whole lot more if they went out and had a company come in to do it. And we're
Interesting.
making I think we were making like $15 each at 15 years old back in the 70s. I mean, it was like, and it was perfect for two kids that were just, hanging out, listening to music and trying to stay out
Interesting.
of trouble.
And you
So
just went around your local neighborhood.
yeah, just went around and said, "Would you
Huh,
like your driveway sealed?" That's our
huh.
summer job.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, that's what my sons are doing. He's been going door to door, driving around
Yeah.
on his bike.
Well, and you could
Yeah.
also tell him he could make a little flyer and put it up at
Yeah,
the
he did
local
that. Yeah.
stores. He could get
Mm.
on some of the stations. What is it?
Oh, like at a
Um,
local supermarket, you can put the with the little
yeah, you could
tabs
put
you
him
can
on.
pull up.
Yeah, right. But like, what is it? Next door. He could
Oh yeah.
advertise on Next door.
Oh,
He could
neat.
put in Craigslist.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, um, but you might want to create a radius of where he would
Yeah.
do this around
Yeah,
where you're
because
at.
yours truly is going to be driving him around. That's why I think
Yeah,
it's funny that your mom and your dad were helping you get
right.
around because he doesn't drive yet.
It,
So
and
yeah.
and honestly, I lived in a really safe suburb, so it wasn't. We didn't have to worry. It wasn't a city, and who knows who you're gonna go see. But you could help screen the customers for him if that's necessary. But but yeah, I mean, I that experience still sticks with me because we did so well. I don't know why we didn't do it the next summer, but anyways, we were kids.
Yeah, and you know what? That's exactly the kind of lessons that I'm hoping that my son learns is like because it clearly has helped you remember it and shaped probably who you are
Yeah,
today. And I know how, there's this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, that is like a pretty viral like book that, talks about like getting a job or doing your own business and being
yeah,
successful. And it's like I think that the experiences that my parents allowed me to do it helped me to be where I am today. And yeah, I
yeah.
survived in the corporate world for a while, and now I'm back on my own again, and I'm liking it. But like, I think there's a good balance. But there's nothing like, being
Well,
independent in a
it
lot of
depends on
ways.
who you are. I
Yeah,
mean, some people like the security of working for a company, and
yeah, and I can
I
relate
have
to
my
that.
own company, right? And I've been doing it for 20 years, and it works for me. I like the independence that it gives me, and I like my boss, who's the smartest guy going, and I really respect and trust him. So, it works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. I did want to mention, just as a side note,
Yeah,
Henry, you may want to create with your son a pricing list if you haven't done it yet.
yeah, we did do that. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I've been teaching them
Okay.
how to negotiate. So like
Okay.
all the, you know, that part's. been fun. And then friends of mine have been who are door-to-door salesmen. I've been taking
Yeah.
them around a little to try to teach them like how to get over
Oh, see, this
that
is
hump
great.
too. Yeah, yeah,
Great. Cool
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I think that like it. I have a sales background from working in my dad's retail stores, but
Yep.
there's nothing like knocking on someone's door
Oh,
and you
I
know.
did rainbow vacuum cleaners back in the
Oh,
day. You
really?
know,
Wow. I mean,
every
that's hard. I mean, if you could
oh
sell
God,
door to door, like you can do a lot of things. Like I think it's a great skill. Like I was coaching someone. I've been
you're
helping.
learning rejection.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been doing as like totally off topic, but it's on topic. So, once I got laid off, I have a lot of experience interviewing and hiring and doing people.
Yeah,
So a lot of Googlers and others that have been laid off have been coaching them through like trying to find a job and performance and
yeah,
do all this stuff. And so one guy was just saying like, I just can't deal with the rejection. I keep, I'll apply to 20 jobs and get 10 emails and I
yeah,
think I was there in a deal. And I was like, okay, I was like, so you need to learn how to deal with rejection. So find a scenario that you can put yourself in where you can get rejected and then you can learn to build that muscle. It's a muscle. It's like
yeah.
anything else. So
I also encourage people when I was saying when I was a commission salesman for a while, and I used to say my saying was I never bank my money until the money's actually in the bank.
hmm.
All right, and it's a little anticlimactic doing that, but it keeps my feet on the ground. You know what I mean? Like it's never a done deal till I see cash. You know?
So do you think the rejection hurts because you start getting excited about that? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. You start fantasizing about the future. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden the deal falls apart. Oh, I really feel like I'm close to getting the job, you know? And maybe not. But that you're
Yeah, I
setting
see.
yourself up for the
Yeah.
fall.
That's
Okay?
an interesting way to look at it. Yeah, I like that. So for me, I prefer the way that I learn how to deal with those is just put myself
Yeah.
in little micro situations where I can
Where you
learn to
get
develop that
rejected.
skill. Yeah, or
Yeah.
just anything
Yeah.
like that. So,
I
like
could
if
start
it's
dating again. That would help. You
yeah,
getting set.
exactly. Like, we were talking about like how to do it, and
Yeah.
I was like, it's volunteer at an organization. Do something where you have to have no, like make those cold calls to try to raise money for something, and you'll really get over the fact,
Yeah.
dealing with rejection because it's life.
It reminds me of my broker, and he told me back in the day when he started, he was selling penny stocks, and it was
Yeah,
cold calling penny stocks.
yeah,
I remember cold calling for my when I was working with my dad, trying selling life insurance, and we used to get these Dun and Bradstreet leads, and we'd start like calling, and it would be like trying to sell health insurance, you know,
yeah.
and so yeah, I mean it's a good skill, but I say I always found if I keep my feet on the ground and I don't bank my money until the money's in the bank,
Uh-huh.
it's a lot easier. It's
Yeah.
anticlimactic when you finally get it, but you're not setting yourself up for the letdown because it's all about projecting into the future. So stay present moment, work on where you're at, don't get too far ahead of yourself. Anything can happen and forge ahead and be persistent.
Love that. That's it. And
Okay?
great way to wrap up the podcast because that was a good little ending there. So,
Hey,
thank you all for listening.
thanks.
We appreciate it. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed the content today, tell us so in the comments. If you didn't, then just tell us what you want to
What
hear
you
about.
want to
We'll talk
hear?
about anything. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll do
tell
it.
you what you
Yeah,
didn't like, what
yeah.
you'd like more of. We value your feedback.
Great. Awesome. Any other closing remarks, Jonathan?
No, just what you get out of today, Henry.
A lot of things. I need to go have a conversation with my son right now.
Okay, sounds good.
Hopefully he's up. It's he's a high schooler, so
Okay.
almost noon, so hopefully he's up.
Yeah, nice. I wish.
Yeah,
Well, anyways,
awesome.
thanks everybody for listening. See you again next week, same time, same
Same
place.
time, same place. That's right.
All right. And
All right, have a
I'm
good.
Jonathan Aronson.
And I'm Henry Kirk, and you've been listening to the Leadership Lab.